Stevie Ray Vaughan has this amazing picking trick that way too many guitar players ignore completely or just happen to overlook or leave inside of the context of an SRV solo that they're learning, right? And they don't truly bring it into their own playing. But it is a simple enough trick technique that you can learn it and bring it into your own playing, steal it essentially in just about 5 minutes. So that's what we're gonna do right freaking now. We're gonna bring this awesome trick technique into our playing. And basically, it's a simplified hybrid picking technique. So hybrid picking is where we have our pick, but we also utilize our middle ring and pinky fingers to pluck the strings along with our pick. Stevie Ray Vaughan, more often than not, just uses his middle finger. So it's way, way simplified, okay? And what we're gonna do, and we're gonna be in the framework of a C minor pentatonic here, so that shape is gonna be our framework for this little, trick. And then of course you can bring it into other scenarios. But let's say, you're gonna hit a Stevie Ray Vaughan style lick, something dirty, gritty. Right, a lot of oomph, right? A more intense dynamic. And then you wanna contrast that afterwards with something softer. Well, a one note at a time little phrase or lick is perfectly fine, right? Lovely. And there's gonna be plenty of scenarios where you're gonna wanna use something like that. This just allows you to expand your vocabulary, and instead of that one note at a time, you're using your pick to hit, usually the A through the G strings, right? And pluck the high E with your middle finger at the same time. So you can try that out. You can pause the video and just take the D string, right? Create a bar with your index finger and put your ring finger on the D string, right? So the 10th fret of the D string, and just pluck using your pick and your middle finger, the D string and the high E at the same time. All right, and in just a second, I'll show you a beginner lick, right? For those of you who are a little bit newer, a beginner lick you can play around with to refine this technique, and an intermediate lick that you can mess around with if you're a little bit more advanced, further along in your guitar playing journey. Okay, but for now, right, you can just pause the video, right? The D string with your pick and the high E with your middle finger. And of course you can also, G string. Right, something like that, or just, one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. You don't even have to, create a little phrase yet, just to get a feel for, what you should be doing using this, simplified hybrid picking approach, right? Okay, and once you've gotten a few reps of that, right? So again, pause the video, get a few reps. We'll jump into the beginner lick, and afterwards, I'll just show you how I like to move this around the neck. I don't like to go one fret at a time down or one fret at a time up. So just stay with me because I think this helps you bake it into your system a little bit better. But the beginner lick is just this. So there it is, as simple as that. A little slower. All right, so for every picked note, there is a correlating plucked note on the high E. And you can go pretty darn light. All right, but just, no additional flavors, no bending, no hammers, no slides, things like that. Just, notes that are being, picked, pretty simple notes, and then just the high E. Now, like I said, I don't just want to move it up one fret, down one fret at a time. When I'm kind of bringing a flavor, a technique into my arsenal, refining it, I love the circle of fifths. because it's gonna force me to get familiar with this, technique in different places. It's the same shape, it's the same pattern, all that stuff, but after C, using the circle of fifths, I'll go down to G, right down here, between the 3rd and 5th frets. So this shape now. It's the same shape, it's just not in C anymore. Now we're in G, we're using a G minor pentatonic, okay? And I'll leave an image of the circle of fifths up right here so you can see why, the how and the what behind this. 2, 3, 4, right? Bringing a metronome, I always think that's really helpful. Not so that you can rush, so that you can actually pull back and be really methodical, okay? And then after G, we go to D. After D, we go to A. Let me play that a little bit cleaner. All right, after A, it's E, so on and so forth. So like I said, 3-minute timer, 5-minute timer, right? Whatever you have time to give to refining this technique and how important it is to you, somewhere in that ballpark, but front end of your session, and then you can just have fun, moving into all your other stuff that you want to practice. Maybe you have a little, practice session you have, and you can just bring this into that, or you just want to move right into all the songs and solos you want to learn, whatever you have time for, okay? Whatever feels best. The intermediate, and you'll do the same thing moving through the circle of fifths, but the intermediate lick will now bring in a very small bend and a hammer and a pull, all right? So obviously those last 2 notes are just individual notes. They're not part of the hybrid picking technique. But you've got this, half-step bend in the mix that might be difficult for some of you, but it doesn't have to be a true half-step bend. You've got this bar that you're maintaining. It's tiny. And as a listener, it might feel funky, like, oh, I didn't really complete that bend. But as a listener, you've got so much sauce and flavor after that with that, hammer, pull, pull. I'm just playing individual notes, but that comes up after that, almost half-step bend, that as a listener, you're not gonna be really lingering on that and asking yourself, did that person, really hit that half-step bend? That's not gonna be a question anyone's gonna ask themselves, all right? So just keep that in mind. All right, now, obviously you might wanna take this lick or both of these licks and bring them into your own time without having to come back to this video every time you wanna play around with them. So, in the description, there is a free PDF with both of these licks. No strings attached, it's just a Google Drive link, as I always say. And it takes time to map these things out and get up the tabs, write up these tabs, make these videos. So if you do want to support in another way, I have a link, a buy me a coffee link that's also in the description. So you can support that way. But I want to keep this free. There's no pressure there. If you do want to support without, that little buy me a coffee donation, liking the video and subscribing to the channel is huge. But that's really the deal, right? 5 minutes, and even like I said, 3 to 5 minutes to just practice it. If you do that a few times, I think you'll be in a great place and you'll have this technique under your finger. So hopefully that was helpful, and I will see you all on the next one. Peace.